Tonight we pick up a very emotional topic with intense arguments being presented on both sides. On Friday, viewers, Tigress Avni, known as a man-eater who was responsible for 13 deaths allegedly, was gunned down. This happened in Yavatmal in Maharashtra. Up north, just a day later in Uttar Pradesh, angry villagers ran a tractor over a tigress who apparently tried to maul a man. 2 big cats killed in cold blood within a week. And there is a huge debate that's currently going on in our country whether or not Tigress Avni should have been shot dead, whether rules were flouted, and whether the government had other options that it could have used. Now, I know that the court said that if nothing else works, shoot her. But did we try everything to save and to stop Avni? And I say this is a hugely emotional topic because on one side, there is love for animals, there is love of those who want to preserve tigers in our country. On the other, there is concern for human lives as well. We do know that a few human lives were lost, were killed by Avni. What about their families? But viewers, let us not forget, we as humans have encroached their homes. The forests of these wild animals have been encroached, reduced to nothing by us. And so the responsibility lies on us to ensure that we do everything to save them, to let them live. Avni had 2 cubs. What about them, I ask tonight? If rules were flouted, then will the guilty be held responsible, I ask tonight? And if tigers are entering our cities and our villages and are becoming a threat to us, then what is it that we need to do? That's what I will be asking tonight. But first, take a look at Avni's story.
The sensational hunt for an alleged man-eating tigress Avni ended last week after she was shot down in Yavatmal district by Asghar Ali Khan, the son of controversial hunting enthusiast Shafat Ali Khan. Ever since the Maharashtra Forest Department claimed that Avni was responsible for killing 13 people over the past 2 years, activists have been up in arms. Several protests were staged under the landmark campaign Save Avni and Let Avni Live. From politicians to animal rights activists, the manner in which Avni was hunted down instead of trying to capture her alive has been condemned. Reports now suggest that Avni was killed illegally by the son of hunter Shafat Ali Khan on orders from Maharashtra Forest Minister.
अगर 13 लोगों की मौत हो जाती है तो कौन मारेगा, किसके हाथों से मरेगा, ये तो मुझे लगता है कि ये प्रश्न नहीं, कानून के बाहर जाके कोई कार्रवाई हुई तो ये प्रश्न उपस्थित होगा। ये तो एनटीसी की गाइडलाइन है। अगर मनेका जी को लगता है कि कोई भी टाइगर या टाइग्रेस अगर वो कितनी भी नरभक्षक बन जाए वो मारना नहीं चाहिए, तो केंद्र में कैबिनेट में अगर डिसीजन कर दे उसमें क्या आपत्ति है?
We are very, very disappointed. While the minister ascribes motives to us by saying that we are casting doubts on the integrity of the Forest Department, it is not on the integrity. We are questioning the core competency of the Maharashtra State Forest Department.
Now, following massive outrage, Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis has assured that a probe will be conducted into the matter. So tonight we ask, will those who flouted rules be punished under the law? The debate begins now.
I frankly don't even understand what Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis means that he's going to assure us a probe and order a probe into it when his own minister then comes out and holds a news briefing saying what was done had to be done and there is absolutely nothing wrong in the decision that was taken. If a tigress has eaten 13 or 14 human lives, then what else can you do? You can't sit and think about procedure at that point of time. So I really don't know what the Chief Minister intends to do about it. But here is what the Union Minister Maneka Gandhi had to say. Actually, before that, let's just say good evening to our guests. Saurabh Ganpate, political analyst, joining us this evening. Saad Bing Jung, former cricketer, who has very strong opinions about what has happened, is also with us, and we would like to hear his opinion. Dr. Gerald Bernard, petitioner in this case, who tried very hard to save Avni, is joining us this evening. Meet Usher, Lead Emergency Response Coordinator for PETA India, is with us this evening. Sarita Subramanian, Director for Earth Brigade Foundation. But I wanted to tell my viewers what Maneka Gandhi really said. Every time, and she is now referring to the hunter and his son, every time he has used Hyderabad-based shooter Shafat Ali Khan, and this time his son has also appeared in the scene illegally to murder the tigress. Shafat Ali Khan has killed 3 tigers, at least 10 leopards, a few elephants and 300 wild boar in Chandrapur in Maharashtra. According to Union Minister Maneka Gandhi, the hunter's son who was employed and the hunter who was called is a criminal known for supplying guns to anti-nationals, and he is also in a suspected case of murder in Hyderabad. So this is how she sees this man. And if that is the reality, then Saurabh Ganpate, do you think it was fair to get such a man in on this project? If only the government wanted to kill Avni, would they get somebody like him?
No, actually, what the government should do, government should come clean with few facts. I have my set of questions because basically I come from Thane. 10 years back, we the people of Thane were also horrified by some problem of the leopards. And the leopards question was handled really very well, meticulously by the government of Maharashtra at that time and the authorities over there. The point is that have we really completed the procedures? My first question is that if the tranquilizer was used, then who actually shot the tranquilizers? Government should come out clean with this. At the same time, if the tranquilizer was used, then was there the vet who was present there? My next question is, where are the cubs of Avni? Who is going to take care of them? How are you going to take care of them? And it is said, it has come in the papers. Now, we did not do it 10 years back, but it has come in papers that the people who were staying over there, the Yavatmal district, that where Pandrakauda, the villages, where Avni was moving around, those people were horrified with her existence. And it is told in the papers that people have actually made the celebration out of that. When she was killed, they celebrated that with crackers. If this is so, then there might be some consent from the villagers for this particular act. If there is a consent, was the consent taken from the public meeting? If public meeting was organized, then there should be some proof presented by the government a public meeting was organized. At the same time, I remember a few years back, there was a T-24 tiger named Ustad. The tiger was a very horrifying tiger, and that tiger was successfully tranquilized, and that question was handled really very well by the government. If this is so, then why not this particular thing used against Avni?
So Mr. Mungatiwar actually held a news briefing today about this, Saurabh, and he says the Forest Department is not an enemy of the tigress. She was killed only after she attacked those who were trying to tranquilize her. And frankly, I don't think they're going to come clean any further beyond this, saying, oh, we did try to tranquilize her, but then self-defense, we had to shoot her because she was going to attack this hunter. The hunter himself has said that she was barely any meters away from me when I finally shot her. That's the story that the government is now telling us. But I do know that there are experts who do not buy that story. So, Dr. Gerald, let me come to you first. Why are you skeptical about what the government is telling us? They tried their best. They tried to tranquilize her. They have been after her for months trying to capture her alive, and when that didn't happen, they shot her.
Ma'am, as a doctor, I would like to say that tranquilization is not a very easy job. It is a very technical and difficult job which requires some kind of expertise. There are veterinarians who can do tranquilization. A simple shikari and a few of his teammates cannot do that. It is a very precision work which requires titration of the dose and calculation of the body weight of the tiger. And according to National Tiger Conservation Authority also, the tranquilization process can only occur during the daytime, from sunrise to sunset. It cannot happen during night time because it is impossible to even identify the tiger. Even the gender is very difficult to identify, let alone by the stripe pattern whether the tigress is Avni or someone else. Had it been some other tiger, they would have still shot that tiger in the presence. Second question which comes over here is, if I have to doubt the government and the veterinarians who were involved and the shikari who was involved, if the tigress was chasing them and if the tigress was attacking, how come the bullet mark is not on her head or her shoulders or on her chest? It has come on the left side and exited from right. As an expert or as a forensic expert would say, this is not the way a bullet behaves. It comes in a linear direction and not tangentially go into the chest. So the tranquilization process was not done. It was just that she was shot dead and then fabrication was done that tranquilization attempts were made. Secondly, we had shown to the government, to the High Court, that government did not have any will to tranquilize her. The standard operating procedures by the NTCA were not followed, and this is not just that we are alleging it. There were reports from Deputy Chief Conservator of Forest, the operational in charge, then Chief Conservator of Forest. They also had mentioned that the shikari was sabotaging all the possible means of operation to tranquilize. He was confiding information, he was instigating villagers, he was pressurizing the forest department, he was doing all that is possible to sabotage this tranquilization process, and he was hell-bent upon killing her.
Now, why would that be? And why would, and let me take that question across to Sarita. Sarita, questions are repeatedly being raised about the hunter that was brought on board. Questions are now being raised that there was no intent to save her or even tranquilize her, that she was killed point blank. I am trying to understand, why would the state government or even the hunter do so?
At the outset, when the PCCF calls a private shikari to hunt, it is not like the government doesn't have wherewithals within its own system. We have police sharpshooters, we have commandos. I think the Maharashtra State Rifle Association also said that we would try and help. Why is this specific hunter been called in Maharashtra repeatedly? Now, here I would also like to mention the Forest Minister, Mr. Mungantiwar, is a serial offender in instigating people and forcing the Forest Department to try and kill tigers. Way back in 2014, Mr. Sudhir Mungantiwar and Mrs. Shobana Fadnavis, she is actually the aunt of our present Chief Minister, Mr. Devendra Fadnavis. The two of them had politically put so much pressure on the PCCF, on the CCF first, Mr. Sanjay Thakre, who then referred to the PCCF to shoot dead a sub-adult male tiger. Now, this was done at the behest of Mr. Sudhir Mungantiwar. Now, here again in 2018, it is because of his constant political interference that the Forest Department has not been allowed to do its job. The Forest Department, left to itself, would definitely have tried to capture her, if not the Maharashtra Forest Department. They could have solicited the help of other states like MP, Karnataka or Uttarakhand or UP. Now, of course, the MP vets were called, but they were not given the logistical support. They were hardly given any elephant support to begin with. Later, when the elephants came also, it was the one and only Maharashtra elephant who allegedly ran amok. And they abandoned the search and rescue with the elephant. Now, the whole procedure, the way it has been done, see, our contention is that protocols were not followed. So, how did the PCCF give the authority to Shafat Khan and, let's say, his team, Shafat Khan, Asghar Khan this time, to go at night? Because he was actually jeopardizing the human lives. So he should be held accountable for any calamity that happens. Because it is at his behest that he sent Asghar Ali at night. Right. Asghar Ali never had the order to shoot. Even in self-defense, it was Shafat Khan who had the authority to shoot. It was not his team members. And Shafat was his team member. So how did the PCCF allow this tranquilization, allegedly this tranquilization process, to take place at night? And to say she attacked her, okay, attacked this team. They were sitting comfortably on an open gypsy. What kind? Couldn't they have fired in the air to scare her? Couldn't they have tried to immobilize her? They could have fired a shot on her thighs, legs, whatever. Why did he have to so precisely? And can you imagine, it's dark in the night, and this guy precisely, okay, how precisely he has aimed a dart and aimed at her to kill her in one single shot.
Yes.
Nobody buys
either
this.
you bring them in,
by the
they
forest
should not
department.
have shot dead.
either you bring them in, these such sharpshooters and hunters, only with the sole aim of shooting the tigress down. Or if you don't, then you should have brought in people who were experts in tranquilizing the tigress and laying a better plan or a trap itself. Now, this man, and I will point it out again, viewers, and I actually want to run some of the visuals of the hunter and his son, because it's important that we understand who this person is and where he gets his joy. He gets his joy out of shooting these wild animals. He has, like Maneka Gandhi said, killed 3 tigers, at least 10 leopards, a few elephants and 300 wild boar in Chandrapur. Now, wild boar, not just the killing of wild boar is a problem, but the fact of the matter is that wild boar is food for tiger. So he is also disturbing the entire ecological balance within the forest by doing this. And such a man, Saurabh Ganpate, do you think it is right for the government to bring him in? Does what the other 2 experts have said right now answer your questions, that perhaps which is why you will not get any clarity from the government, because this is what the government or the forest minister intended to do?
Actually, yesterday Mr. Sudhir Mungantiwar told one thing, that we are actually having a confusion between Shafat Khan and his son. Because Shafat Khan was basically appointed, this is what people are saying, but Sudhir Mungantiwar clarified one thing, that he was actually present in the meeting that was arranged by the Bihar government. And the person who actually shot Avni dead was actually appointed as the official person to complete the act. Our question is that, as my colleague rightly mentioned, that if for this particular act, if the open jeep was utilized, then why open jeep, why not closed jeep? Because open jeep is generally utilized for the safari purpose. For such operations, the closed jeep is organized. If government really has some answers on that, they should have actually arranged a press conference regarding this. And in the entire press conference, everything should be made clear. Because what has happened so far is that a tigress has been killed. Killing a tigress is actually a big problem. And it creates a more trouble for the food chain also, because tigress creates 2-3 more tigers, and one among them could be a tigress. So killing a female creates a big trouble for the food chain. It actually creates a big loss for that particular purpose. So if the government is actually gheraued by so many questions, then they should come out clean with the press conference or something like that. And one more thing I would like to tell you, that if those people are saying that the tigress tried to attack us, and then we shot her dead, then our allegations are fine, that why didn't we attack her from the front side, why from the lateral side and all. But because I have seen the tiger in my life.
Now, the fact of the matter here is, Saurabh Ganpate, that the government obviously at this point of time is not ready to come clean with answers. We've tried to get multiple BJP spokespersons to even come on this debate and answer some of our questions, and that hasn't happened. As we speak, my team is still trying to get through some BJP spokesperson in Maharashtra to tell us where they stand on this issue and what will be done next. But barring the comment that was made by the Chief Minister and the Forest Minister, they do not want to indulge in this conversation. Saad bin Jung is also with us, and he wanted to come in earlier into the debate, but I wanted to hear some of the other panelists, Saad, before I come to you, and then understand your viewpoint. Are we overreacting with all of this, getting into the details, trying to find a reason? The fact of the matter is that this tigress was blamed for 13 deaths.
Oh, absolutely, Tanvi. I think, all these issues which were discussed by my panelists are completely non-issues to the extent that and by the way, I gave up cricket in the 80s, and for the past 30 years, I've been a conservationist, and I've been living in the buffer areas of our forests, and I see this every day. And I'll tell you why they're nonsensical. I'm not trying to demean anyone or put anyone down. All I'm saying is, come on, guys, if you want to come out and fight the Forest Department, fight for some real issues. Listen. It's not the Chief Minister, it's not Maneka Gandhi, it's nobody, it's not the PCCF, it's solely the Chief Wildlife Warden who can order the man-eater to be killed and then give reasons for it, okay? Now, the other thing that the Chief Wildlife Warden needs to look at to give reasons is also the guidelines suggested by the NTCA. Now, the guidelines of the NTCA are not rocket science, Tanvi. Please, what are the guidelines of the NTCA? That the moment the first tiger gets killed, the NTCA guidelines have already been invoked by the Chief Wildlife Warden. He's going to try to tranquilize it. He's going to try to trap it. He's going to try to poison it. He's going to try every single thing within his capacity to actually get that tigress as per the guidelines of the NTCA. But now see what happens, Tanvi. In his efforts, in order to try to implement the guidelines of the NTCA, what's happened is he's lost 11 more lives. What are we going to tell these mothers and children of these 11 people who've been killed? Oh, hang on. I'm very sorry, madam. I'm very sorry, sir. We were going by the NTCA guidelines and 11 of your family members have been killed. I mean, that tiger, and this is exactly the problem when you start mixing up issues. Now, that tigress is a man-eater. She's got 4 cubs, and they're not young, by the way. I'm told that they're quite old. So we've probably got 5 man-eating tigers on our hand right now. That tigress has to be killed. I'm sorry, but that tigress has to be killed and removed immediately before anybody else was killed. Why did we lose 11 people? Because of the NTCA guidelines, we've lost 11 people. And the Chief Wildlife Warden should be asked, why did he delay the order for killing the tigress?
Yes.
And why did we lose 11 people,
So,
Tanvi?
Saad, few
That's
things.
where the issue is.
Activists and experts tell us, yes, I know everybody wants to come into that, and Sadhvik Jung has really got emotions out of all other 4 panelists, but I will go across to meet Ashar first because he hasn't spoken and he also wanted to come in on this. But Saad, what I do know is that experts say there is very little evidence right now to connect this tigress to 13 deaths, that yes, 3 of those attacks or lives were lost because of Avni. Secondly, if the court order says that the efforts to tranquilize and capture T1 tigress will be continued and if unsuccessful, it shall be eliminated by shooting. The question that I think many are raising tonight is whether this entire procedure was followed, or did this hunter and the government and the forest minister of Maharashtra just jump the gun and say just get it over with, just kill the tigress? That's the other question that many are asking. But Meet Ashar, would you want to respond to what Sadhvik Jung is raising?
Absolutely, I would like to. Firstly, they are alleged 13 deaths and they cannot be accounted to Avni. This can definitely be debated for a long time, but to put the record straight, 13 people, no DNA sampling was done to ascertain whether these people were actually killed by Avni. And most importantly, these people the dead bodies were found inside protected forest area. Any common man, you and me, cannot enter into a prohibited or protected area. It's an offense under the Wildlife Protection Act. The Forest Department has miserably failed to stop these people from entering in. Most people who have gone in with their cattle for illegal grazing activity. How can you blame a tigress for defending her own territory and her own cubs? With so many people entering inside the forest, she is getting scared. She is fearing her life, the lives of her cubs. She is fearing her environment. To put another record very clear, the Nagpur bench of the Honorable Bombay High Court very clearly said that if she does not venture out, you have no authority to kill her. So there have been clear violations of the Honorable Bombay High Court's order, of the Honorable Supreme Court's order, and the guidelines of the NTCA. As one of the panelists said, that you can't wait for more people to be killed. You can definitely stop the encroachment. Why didn't the Forest Department act in time and stop the encroachment? Had the encroachment been stopped in time, this wouldn't have happened. Today, the deaths that are being accounted are all because of the encroachment.
Fair enough. And that is the other aspect of my debate, and we'll come to that in just a bit.
There's
but
one
just
last
on
point
this
that
point,
I want to make, a very quick point.
Go ahead, please.
That an inquiry from the state is not going to be helpful. We need a judicial inquiry or a court monitor probe into this to ascertain who is responsible. People have been saying only the Chief Wildlife Warden is authorized. Yes, only the Chief Wildlife Warden is authorized, but he has completely buckled under pressure of the top people. Who are these top people is something that the investigation has to reveal, but there is complete foul play in the matter, and Peter condemns.
I do agree with Meet on this one, and I find it very difficult difficult to believe that any forest officer whose entire career, whose entire life is about safeguarding the animals is going to go out, right out and do this without thinking twice, or if they didn't have any option. So either they genuinely didn't have any option but to do this, or there was pressure from somebody outside, some external pressure. But Sadbing Jan wants to respond.
Nawab
Go
was
ahead,
given
please,
enough
Mr. Jung.
time. Nawab was given more than 2 months to kill her. Nawab
Yes,
is not
yes,
someone who
actually,
could tranquilize
no,
her.
he actually-
Vet
hear
should
what
have
you're
been
saying.
involved in
Yes,
that operation.
okay, yes, I will tell
Please
you.
allow
And
me
who
to
the-
respond.
who-
One
who
minute,
is
one minute,
the-
one minute.
Yeah, sure,
We would
sure.
like to
I
ask
completely
your point.
unfair.
One minute,
Wildlife
ladies and
officers,
gentlemen,
Now, this is
1 minute,
the
please.
side
I
of
can't
wildlife.
understand any
So
of
this is
you
not
right
allowed.
now.
Allow me to
Because we
respond,
are-
please. As a
Yes,
wildlifer, you
I can't understand
I
any of you right now.
that
If
this
I can
tigress
request
is
everybody
rearing
to
4
just take a
cubs.
deep breath. Mr. Jung can reply first to Meet Ashar, and then I will go across to Sarita and Dr. Gerald. Yes, Saad, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Tanvi, and thank you, my fellow panelists. Listen, I completely agree and I hear what you're saying, my friend, but that's not the point. The point, the reality in the ground is that there is a tigress and she's got cubs, which are, I think, by the way, more than a year old. In another year, they're going to be going out, they're going to be finding their own territory. They've already
please get
tasted
your
blood
facts
of
right,
man.
sir. Please get
They're
your
going to be
facts
pushed out, maybe out of the forest. They'll be out on the fringes of the forest. They will certainly start killing humans. You
Can
might
you give
even
us
land
some
up losing
scientific
100 to
evidence
200
for
people
what you're saying?
because these 4
Mr.
tigers
Jung,
will
can
be
you give us
already
some
killed,
scientific
have grown
evidence?
diverted blood, have become
Apart
grown
from
aware of
sitting
the
in the
forest.
has been
buffer
opened
area
up for
Okay,
what reason?
I will have to come in here. I've got Mr.
Can you give
Avadut
us
Wagh
something
of the
more?
BJP, and since we do want to hear from the BJP tonight, let's just go across to him and understand from him where he and his party stand on this issue. Mr. Wagh, there are way too many questions tonight on the way this hunting, this killing was done, whether the procedures were followed, and why were those people, the hunters and Asghar, part of this panel if the intention was to save Avni? Why were they brought on board? Do you think we need an independent investigation, Mr. Avadut Wagh,
Absolutely.
into the killing of Avni?
First of all, our Honorable Chief Minister has already declared an inquiry and the facts will come out as and when. So we have to wait and watch. That is point number 1. Point number 2, all the procedures were followed before killing of this Tigress Avni. It is a very sad but unavoidable situation. Around 16 people were killed, out of which 3 women were killed, 2 kids were killed. Now, for last 5-6 years, after trying everything, the government and the department has not left a single stone unturned to caught the tigress, but it is unfortunate that she was not caught live. So
Mr.
the
Avadut
government
Wagh,
had
Just
no
saying it's
I have 2
unfortunate
questions.
way.
Okay, Mr. Wagh, I have 2 questions for you. Firstly, who will be conducting this investigation? Because
You should get the
clearly
number
you
of killings,
and the
right
forest
first.
minister of the state already believe that the procedure was followed. So, and if you so wholeheartedly believe that the
Maharashtra
procedure
state.
was followed, then why is it that the Maharashtra state is even ordering a probe? Which is why
It's
then I
false.
ask you, who
It's
is going to
eyewash.
conduct this probe? How do we know it won't be biased like and pre-decided like you have?
Number 1, the Honorable Forest Minister has not ordered killing of this tigress. You are, first of all, you should understand which independent authority gives such decision. It is not definitely Mr. Sudhir Mungantiwar, who is our Forest Minister. It is an independent authority which gives, that is called as National Forest Council or something like that. So they have taken a decision, which is an independent body along with the administrative officers. And after 5 years of continuous working on this particular issue, the committee has come to that conclusions. What Maneka Gandhi has said is her independent and personal
I think the
opinion.
minister
has
needs
nothing
to be updated on the facts.
Yes, Sarita, go ahead, please. Mr. Avadut Wagh, you may want to hear what our experts have to say about. Please
Sir,
continue
I
on the
think-
phone line.
Yes, sir, I think, sir, I think you need to get the facts right. I think you have been misinformed or not, told properly about who takes the decision. We are not saying it is the forest minister who has taken the decision.
That's it.
We are saying that he has interfered and influenced the CWLW, who is the sole authority to do it, and not the NTCA, sir. Unfortunately, it is it is our law which is at fault. It is our archaic and obsolete law which favors hunters, and it gives the responsibility to one individual. While I agree with you that it is our parliament which should come up with this amendment and it's not the state, but the political interference puts a lot of pressure on the CWLW to give this order. And even if he gives the order, why should this hunter be called? We have enough, Maharashtra has enough resources. We have excellent sharpshooters who will immobilize the animal. This fellow comes only to kill. Even with this incident, he could have shot in the air. If the fellow is such a good sharpshooter, why didn't he kill? Because you would actually immobilize her. Why did he want to kill?
If
the NCCS says.
Okay, let's listen to what Abdul Wahab has to say in response, please. Yes, Mr.
Madam, if a decision is taken to kill the tigress, first of all, I feel very sorry for anything to be killed. I'm an animal lover, but the fact is, if suppose a decision is taken to kill her, then how does it make a difference whether Amjad has killed or I have killed or you have killed?
It does, because it gives him sadistic pleasure to kill wild animals.
No, he's a hunter. He's a hunter, Mr. Wahab. Obviously, no. It's very simple. Allow me to explain this. He's a hunter, Mr. Wahab. He gets joy out of killing animals. If you say you love animals, I don't even know how you can ask that question, because you are willingly bringing on somebody on board who gets joy out of killing animals, who is not really going to be interested in following all procedures and trying all that you can to save that animal, but will be ready to jump at the opportunity to kill the animal. And so we doubt the intention of the state.
16 people were killed in Maharashtra. Have you ever visited their families? Have you seen the people?
No, sir.
It's not about villages and people. Please don't deflect from the topic. It's about involving a person with tainted character into this operation. Please answer on that.
Yes, 1 minute. Please let him finish his point. His point is, and Mr. Wahab says, why aren't you thinking about the families of the victims?
We are thinking
whether
it's not correlated at all.
Whether they are 3 or 13 or 16,
yes,
people have died. What about their families?
I would like to know what was done when the people were killed on the railway tracks. Yes, we will tell you, Tanvi.
Don't divert the situation.
One by one, please. Sarita, let me go across to Dr. Let me go across to Dr. Gerald on that, one by one. Dr. Gerald, please. Dr. Gerald, the fact of the matter also is that whether 3 were killed or 16 were killed, more could have been killed. Are you also thinking about the families, is what the BJP spokesperson is telling us right now? Your response.
Yes, we understand, but it is the responsibility of the state to ensure that all human life is saved. The Forest Department and the state government has failed miserably to protect the lives of these locals because they have not taken adequate protection to ensure that they don't venture into dangerous territory. If anybody walks into an army cantonment area in a firing range, they run the risk of getting shot dead. You cannot blame the army for having the range there. It is sacrosanct. That area is inviolate. It is understood. So if the army didn't do enough to keep the people out, it is the army's fault. Similarly, it is here the Forest Department's duty to ensure that the people don't go illegally grazing into the forest.
Sabin Jung, please. Sabin Jung wanted to come in. Yes, Sarita, let me go across to other panelists also. I know you feel very dearly about this debate, but let me just bring in some of the other panelists also. Sabin Jung, please, and then I see Saurav also wants to come in, but Mr. Jung first.
Yes. If this is the principal secretary that I'm speaking with, then the only question I have, which the other panelists has also raised, is that in South Africa you have fences where the lions don't go out and the humans don't come in. Elephants don't go out and human cattle don't come in. Now you know very well that it is not a question of funds anymore. There are enough funds available in the Forest Department to actually build proper fences. Why don't you keep your animals inside? And if you keep your animals inside by putting up and using the funds that have been given to you properly, then not only will you save your animals, you will also save us humans. Why do you have to come up with the eco-sensitive zone which says, no, we cannot keep the animals inside, let them roll freely 15 kilometers from the forest? I mean, your laws are ridiculous. You're not able to implement them. You're not able to do anything in the field. Please, for heaven's sake, tell India, why can't you just give us proper fencing and keep your animals inside? We don't want to go in, and don't let them come out.
Okay, fair point, fair point. Mr. Abdul Wag, if you heard that, it is at the end of the day the responsibility of the authorities to ensure that you safeguard the animals and you keep them away from human lives, that you ensure that we don't encroach their land. And so why can't you put in those basic wiring and fencing which is needed? What would you say to that?
Madam, we also should understand, since 2014, when the measures have been taken by our Forest Department, the total number of tigers in Maharashtra increased by 200%. So that is a conservation.
Answer the question,
principle
please.
the
Does that give a
government
reason
has.
to kill?
Sir, please explain why you have given 6 shooter-side orders in 1 year.
Yes, fair enough, Mr. Wag. We do
Answer
know
the
that the
question,
numbers have
please.
gone up, which is why this conversation is even
The
more
PCCF
important,
of,
because
MP
the authorities need to have a plan now to figure out what
Answer
to
the
do with these
question.
tigers. Otherwise, the question that you will be asked is, are you just going to kill tigers because there are too many of them now? So
Okay,
what is the
because
plan?
Now, when you talked about the fencing, first of all, we should understand that the problem is occurring not in forest but in a buffer zone. The buffer zone between the people who are staying over there and the jungle. In that buffer zone, the battle is going on between the man and the wild
Answer the
animal.
question. Why can't you put up the fences? You've got the money.
Why don't you?
Where is the money going? Please answer the question. Where is the money going? Why aren't you doing the fences?
I don't think you have visited any jungle except Jizamata Rashtriya Udyan
We have
or
offered
Sanjay
to give
Gandhi
the
Udyan.
fences.
You have never seen a jungle. Sitting
Sir,
at
I live in
thinking-
Bandipur for
Sitting at
I am the only one in
experience.
agreement with the forest department. I live in Bandipur and
One time you are
Nagarole.
saying that we have got enough fund. You know how much fund we have got? In a drought situation where the government is supposed to feed the people of Maharashtra.
वो शिवाजी मेमोरियल में से निकाल लीजिए सर.
About the laser fences, you are talking about the South Africa.
शिवाजी
Where
मेमोरियल में
are
से
you staying?
फंडिंग निकाल
You
के
are
पैसा
staying in
लगा के
Pedder Road, you are
फेंसिंग
staying
बना
in
दीजिए
APMC
मिस्टर
Road, you are
अब्दुल
sitting in a air-conditioned cabin
Mr.
and
Wag,
watching, National
Mr. Wag,
Geography,
please don't
and
give
you are
us an
talking such
excuse.
things.
Mr. Wag,
You
Mr.
are
Wag.
far away from the reality.
Okay,
You don't
Mr.
know what
Wag,
is happening
here
in
is the
jungle.
solution. If your problem is that you do not have the funds to put fencing so that people's lives can be protected, so that the tigers' lives can be protected, here is my solution to you, Mr. Wag.
See,
Why don't you take the money out of your Shivaji Memorial Plan, use those 2,500 crore rupees to properly put around fencing, put in a plan in place to ensure even if the number of tigers have grown a little too much,
Tigers from
you
enjoying the
can
contours, first of
protect
all.
them.
And second,
There are your
thing
funds.
is what goes wrong with the tiger and man relationship is that the tiger is a very shy animal. Tiger doesn't kill the man whenever he wants. And it's not that the man has done something and tiger is going to kill. Tigers have definitely some discipline. Even men have some discipline. Something goes wrong. But what happens in this is that when tiger starts killing a man, tiger starts finding man as an easy hunt. Secondly, what is happening in Mumbai, what happened in Mumbai a few years back was that when men were staying in their own societies, when men were staying in those slums and the areas, these areas were encroached or not, that's a different story. But when even the Adivasis who were staying there, tribals who were staying there, they were having the pets, they were having the cocks, and those were actually the easy targets for the leopards there. That happens because of that, such easy targets. The tigers doesn't have to do anything. They can just go and kill hunt something. They can come and feed their children for that. Because of that, tigers are now encroaching in the territory of men.
Fair enough.
Fencing
In
is
fact,
really not
this
possible.
is exactly what has happened.
See, fencing
In
is not
fact,
possible. It will cut the territory of the tigers. Tigers, if I'm not mistaken, tigers also have their lineage.
Well,
we need to preserve that. Fencing is really not possible. It's completely a different idea altogether.
Madam, see, all this theory everybody knows. Try to understand when there are hundreds of
See,
tigers.
leopard and
No,
tiger
can we
are
just
very-
hear what Mr. Abdul Wag is saying first, please? Yes, okay, Mr. Wag, here is my question to you. You and I can continue arguing, and along with the other experts on this panel, who is going to carry out the investigation into this incident, Mr. Wag? How will we know that this will be an impartial investigation, considering that you, your forest minister, are already convinced that the right thing was done?
100%. Basically, the government and the department, they have taken
The department will investigate itself?
Now only whether the procedure is followed or not is to be seen.
The department will investigate itself on whether the procedure was followed or not.
Answer the
Definitely
question.
not a department. Honorable Chief Minister has declared it. Now he has not said who is going to conduct the inquiry, how the what is the limitation of that inquiry. Nothing has come. We have to wait and watch. for
Exactly,
that.
because
I cannot
like
tell
the forest minister, I don't even think the chief minister wants to do it. It's just that he's so much under pressure that he said, oh, we'll look into it. But from what I could make out of his comment, he also thinks that the union minister Maneka Gandhi is only raising this issue because she loves animals and that it has really nothing to do with what has actually happened on ground. And that, I think, will be unfair. If an investigation has to be carried out on whether rules were followed, we must do that. And I will go back to the point that I made. We have to do this because we are the ones who've encroached the homes of wild animals. It is our responsibility to ensure not only are people protected, but these animals are also protected. And both those things have to be done by the government of the day. Now, I have on the phone line Mr. Hosmat. And I'm being told that he is a retired forest officer who is on the phone line. Mr. Hosmat, since you are you have experience here, let me ask you: is it whose final call is it? Does the minister, does anybody else in the government have any say, or is it just the PCCF that decides on what has to be done?
Madam Tanvi, we have undergone many of the situations like this in my 4.5 years of tenure. We also have to resort to shooting down the tiger at least on 3 occasions. Okay, this process of unfortunate culminating in the shooting of a tigress, Avni, maybe it could have been avoided, but it has undergone all the process. Whatever I learned, so it has undergone the scrutiny of the highest court in the country. So the green signal has been given by the highest court in the country. Further, the chief wildlife warden has to act in accordance with along with the government. They have taken a decision. The forest minister ultimately is the head of the government. And this decision, there is nothing wrong in the decision of taking that either you tranquilize or shoot a tiger. Only unfortunate thing that has happened is they should not have continued this operation beyond the sunset. This could have been avoided. If this could...
It's not unfortunate, it's a lapse in the law.
This could have been stopped if it were to be stopped by sunset.
Right. All right, Mr. Hosmat, I really appreciate you calling us in because, of course, many like you would have gone through this through our entire career. To tell us about what should have been done and what could have gone wrong. But I'm running out of time here. Very quickly, I have a question for Meet Ashar. Meet, the other point that has come out today is the fact that, say, between 2010 and 2014, we've had a good tiger preservation or conservation policy where the number of tigers has increased. Now, we are being told that now we don't know how to deal with this problem. Is it that difficult, or is it just because the government doesn't have a plan?
Let me make a point. In 1990, we had about 50,000 tigers in the country. So that was a huge number. And at that time, these issues were not prevalent. These issues have started cropping up now because we have started encroaching their habitat. It all boils down to the same thing, that we stop encroachment, we give them the space, and they will give them our space that we need. We stop encroaching their territories and they stop coming into human settlements. One more thing that I want to say is, every single day, hectares of land are being diverted to corporates for building cement factories or for any other industrial purpose inside forest areas. Now, when you are doing this, you are basically fragmenting the habitat of an animal. When the predator base goes low, that means the animal doesn't have enough hunt, it's going to go into human habitat to find cattle, hen, goat, etc. So again, it comes down to the same thing, that we have to stop deforestation. We have to stop allowing people to encroach forests, either legally or illegally in terms of cattle grazing or whatever, and that will solve the problem. And only when we do this, we can avoid a second or a third Avni being killed. Otherwise, this is never going to end.
No, absolutely. Look at what happened in Uttar Pradesh today, where tribals, people, villagers, out of fear of they didn't know what is going to happen to them, came together and killed this tiger.
In 2000,
And this fear is only going to spread because we don't even know and we don't have evidence that 16 people were killed or 13 people were killed by Tigress Avni, but it is being said so. And people living in that area are going to believe so, are going to live in fear and are going to start hitting back. And you cannot blame the citizens. They are going to do whatever they need to do to save their own lives.
The government
exactly.
has to come in over
That is
there.
where the role of the government comes in. I'm going to thank all my panelists for joining us at this point of time. And I'm going to leave everyone with this one single
That
thought.
was the first
That
ever
is the
elephant
role of the
flyover,
government
right?
to ensure that our forests are preserved, that our wildlife is preserved. Not only that there is a clear distinction and demarcation of where the human habitation takes place and where wildlife animal lives. It is the duty of our government to ensure, yes, that human lives are safe, but that doesn't mean that you go around shooting down wildlife animals. There have to be other ways that you come up with. It is your duty. But just because you fail in your duty, just because it is not a priority for you, doesn't mean that you can then turn around and say, what could we do? She was killing people. No, you could have done a lot more. Did you even try to do that? For starters, the Maharashtra government actually brought in a professional, well-trained hunter. If they did so, their intention was very clear. Did they even try to tranquilize Avni before they shot her? And this goes beyond Avni. We have to sit together now and think how we can stop this from happening again. We may have failed to save Avni, but this cannot happen again to any other wildlife animal. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.